bombshell news from the Big Ten Conference. The Big Ten announcing a new TV deal that stretches until 2030, and it's worth close to $10 billion potentially. We'll get to that in a moment and its impact on the Big Ten members. But first, I want to thank our sponsor, Ascent Nutrition, doing great stuff with their algae oil DHA. If you're looking to feel sharper and more attentive throughout the day, try Ascent Nutrition's algae oil DHA. It's created by way of a unique water extraction method. It supports a healthy brain function, memory, and clarity. Visit goascentnutrition.com. Use the code Hawkeyes at checkout for 15% off. That's Hawkeyes at checkout at goascentnutrition.com. And remember, you're supporting a former Hawkeye who owns the company, Lance Shuttler, U of I graduate Lance Shuttler. That's goascentnutrition.com. Also want to thank Randy Engel and Under the Kitchen. He'll have a stand with original Hawkeye prints at Fry Fest this year on September 2nd. So be sure to, if you're going to be at Fry Fest, check out his stuff, Under the Kitchen. You can also visit Under the Kitchen on Facebook. Great gifts, great stuff for your man cave. So the news on this Thursday, man, it's big news as we approach the start of the 2022 season, but this news has nothing to do with 2022 other than Iowa fans and Big Ten fans will get a lot less Beth Mowins in the coming years. I haven't got anything against Beth, but you're going to see less and less Beth Mowins unless she switches networks in the coming years, because the Big Ten Conference basically saying, hey, the SEC, you've got ESPN, we're going to take everybody else. This news from Brett McMurphy, and it's out there, it's everywhere right now, but I'm going to give Brett McMurphy some credit. He did an excellent write-up on Action Network. I'll give you kind of a synopsis of what this deal includes. We know it includes Fox, CBS, NBC, and Peacock, which is a streaming service. It stretches from 2023 to 2030. Most of this is backloaded. The actual TV rights schedule, if you will, is backloaded to 2025 and beyond. The SEC does have a contract with CBS in 2023. It actually runs out at the end of 2023. So we won't see a whole lot of change here for a year or two. Will be some changes in 23. We'll get to that. But this deal estimated to be worth between $7 and $8 billion. If the Big Ten expands more, and Action Network reporting that it does believe the Big Ten will expand more. Some players include Cal, Stanford, Notre Dame, etc., at least targets from the Big Ten. If it expands further than just USC and UCLA, this deal could be worth $10 billion. $10 billion. Unbelievable. And again, it doesn't sound like the Big Ten is done expanding. When and if that happens, we'll just have to wait and see. So first of all, let's start at the top. Championship games. The Big Ten Network, the Big Ten, of course, has had its Big Ten championship game exclusively on Fox. Well, that's no longer going to be the case. Fox will continue to carry the Big Ten football championship game in 2023, 2025, 2027, and 2029. Of course, they'll get it this year in 2022 as well. But as part of this new deal, CBS will get it in 2024 and 2028, and NBC will get it in 2026. So you're going to get it. This is almost like the Super Bowl now. I mean, you're going to get the Big Ten championship game on all these different networks. The CBS contract I mentioned with the SEC running out after 2023, and after that happens, the Big Ten will get a window on CBS at 2:30 p.m. Central Time in the afternoon. So they'll get one of those mid-afternoon games that has been on ESPN or on ABC in the past. That will now be on CBS. 11 a.m. is still owned by Fox. You'll have Big Noon Kickoff still. And how about this? Prime time on NBC. So yes, the Big Ten gets three major time slots, and this does start in 2023. Again, there will be more Big Ten games on CBS after 2023. But again, 11 a.m. Fox, 2:30 p.m. CBS, prime time on NBC. The payouts for each school, man, this is going to be where you really see an effect, a positive effect. I think you're going to see an impact on recruiting, but you're going to really see an impact from a revenue standpoint. The Big Ten schools already averaging about $60 million per year made because of their current TV deal. That will now move, starting in 2025, it will move to around $100 million. So nearly double what each school was making previously. It will nearly double. Again, this contract is estimated in the range of $7 to $8 billion total over the course of seven seasons, 2023 to 2030, if I'm adding those correctly, because it runs out, the deal runs out in summer of 2030. So what does this mean for Iowa and for the Big Ten? Well, first of all, we know this is big business. Anybody that wants to complain about this kind of thing and hearing this type of news and kind of running away from it, listen, this is the day and age we live in. College football is ran by television. That's why USC and UCLA are now in the Big Ten, or will be in the Big Ten here soon. It's why this new deal is happening. It's why the SEC added Oklahoma and Texas. We know ESPN was involved heavily in that push to expand, and now the Big Ten is responding. And I got to give Kevin Warren credit in the Big Ten Conference, because although there have been times over recent years, like in 2020, where I thought the Big Ten kind of went about its business as followers rather than as leaders, they're stepping up to the plate. This is the second major move this summer where the Big Ten has flexed its muscles, and we're talking serious exposure between CBS, Fox, and NBC. Now, as it relates to basketball, more news on this and Brett McMurphy going into this. I'm going to read some of this information verbatim from Action Network. I'm also going to post the link to this story in the description below. But here's a further breakdown from Brett McMurphy as it relates to basketball. All of the Big Ten's network partners, with the exception of NBC, will televise Big Ten men's basketball games. The majority will remain on the Big Ten network. 126 men's basketball games, followed by Fox and FS1, 45 games on the Fox networks, and Peacock will get 32 to 47 games, CBS 9 to 15 games. So not a huge difference, although CBS will get more. CBS has always had their weekend Big Ten game in basketball, but boy, 9 to 15 games guaranteed here, in addition to what you're going to see on Fox, FS1, Peacock, Big Ten Network. So ESPN completely left off the table here, completely. And it also mentions, Brett McMurphy also adds in here, the networks will also televise Big Ten women's basketball games and Olympic sports contests. So it'll be interesting to see wrestling and how much exposure does Iowa wrestling get moving forward. Peacock will be televising 8 Big Ten football games annually from 23 to 29. That is significant. People who have ran away from streaming networks. And, now we're going to have games not only on some cable networks like the Big Ten Network, but you're also going to have games on streaming devices. We're also going to potentially have some games on Paramount Plus. We know that every CBS Big Ten football and basketball broadcast will be streamed on Paramount Plus. So good news for those that don't want to just keep purchasing these streaming networks. It sounds like there's not going to be any games exclusively on Paramount Plus. There will be games exclusively on Peacock. CBS will televise 7 Big Ten football games in 23. And then after 23, when that contract with the SEC runs out, CBS will get 14 to 15 regular season games annually from 24 to 29. NBC will televise 16 Big Ten football games annually in 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, including primetime games on Labor Day Sunday and Black Friday. Those games will also be simulcast on Peacock, but again, there will be some games that are exclusive to Peacock. The Big Ten Network will then broadcast 38 to 41 games in 23 and at least that many annually in 24 to 29. I know I'm throwing a lot of information out at you right now, but this is exciting news. I know this is big business, and I know it's really hard to digest all of it, but the point is each school is going to get a whole lot more money here in a couple more years, which is not a huge surprise given the additions of USC and UCLA, but boy, I don't know that anybody expected going from $60 million to $100 million, and that's guaranteed from 2025 to 2030. Plus, you get exposure on all these networks, every single one of them, NBC, CBS, Fox, all these national networks. The one you leave out is ESPN, and yes, they're the worldwide leader in sports, but Fox is saying, hey, our biggest opponent here in all this is ESPN. We're willing to partner with our competitors in NBC and CBS to take down ESPN, or at least rival what they're doing with the SEC. And I would say this is a slam dunk for the Big Ten. We'll talk about it more on future episodes, future segments. I really have to take time to digest this and kind of figure out how it affects Iowa. Again, it's going to bring in a lot more revenue. Will Iowa bring back some of its sports that it cut? I don't know the answer to that question right now. It probably should. But those are question marks moving forward, and those are conversations we'll continue to have as we get closer and closer to the beginning of this contract in 2023, and then really launching in 24 and 25. More content right here. I know this was not necessarily specifically about the Iowa Hawkeyes, but Iowa Hawkeye content, Big Ten content right here from the Hawkeye of the Storm as we count down the days to Iowa football 2022 and the last year, Big Ten football on ESPN.